Has anybody seen the news these days? It's kind of depressing, isn't it? And then just when you think it's over and done with, there's more. It gets worse and worse. Except when there's a royal baby. Then we all get excited for a while. Until we start thinking about, I wonder if they've got a nanny. Why don't we have a nanny? That's not right. Why can't we be like a beautiful hummingbird, hovering back from a flower and looking at it and deciding which way to go next, maybe taking another direction? I think our thoughts sometimes become who we are. And sometimes that's not good, is it? I'm going to take you back to May 1994. I had a fantastic life. I had a new house. I had a 4-year marriage. I had a brand new job. And I had a baby girl. She was lovely. Can you smell the baby powder? I can. And the soft skin? It's funny how things that seem so good can suddenly go so bad. On May 31st, 1994, I learned the school district was laying off 30 people, myself included. Then Katie got sick. And before long, she was diagnosed with pneumonia and taken to BC Children's Hospital intensive care unit. Every day I visited her. One day I'd been visiting and came home, and there was a telephone ringing. Yes, it was the hospital. A doctor said to me, "We've had some bad news. Some tests have come back. Katie has AIDS." AIDS! I couldn't believe it. They told me, "You and your husband will have to come in and get tested, and we have to retest Katie to make sure it is correct." In 1994, you had to wait a week for the results. Finally, they called us in. They said, "Denise, you have HIV. Katie does have AIDS. Your husband is not infected." I didn't understand. Later, I found out I had been infected by a man in a relationship before I met my husband 5 years ago. They told us Katie will likely live 2 years. You may live 5 years. Katie became very sick right away. This is a picture of Katie and I just 3 weeks before she died, 3 months later. When I came home from the funeral, there were bills waiting in the mail from the ambulance. I opened them up. It turned out that I had been cut off my health insurance, my life insurance, my disability insurance, all by mistake. I couldn't believe how bad things were getting. In 1996, the World AIDS Conference was held in Vancouver, and brand new medication came in, which meant that people were living longer with HIV. And this may be a spoiler alert, but I survived. Thank you. Also, when women were tested during pregnancy for HIV, they didn't pass on the virus to their child when they were on medication. Since 1997, not one child has been infected with HIV in Vancouver since the mothers were on the medication. It's amazing. It was such good news. I thought it was time to found a company for children with HIV because the stigma was so terrible. They told me, be very careful who you tell. People won't understand. I didn't even tell my mother or father. I started an organization called the Hummingbird Kids Society. Now, how did I find that name? Well, I wanted it to be West Coast Indigenous. And I went looking in Gastown for a name. And I found a little box by Tsimshian artist Bill Helene. I opened the box with the beautiful hummingbird inside. There was a note. It said, "Hummingbird comes into your life at times of great sorrow. Happiness and healing will soon follow." It was perfect. The perfect name for the society. And I started doing some advocacy because I know that advocacy can help you when you're in a traumatic situation. But unfortunately, it didn't help me. I was soon diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Who does PTSD affect? PTSD affects combat veterans, first responders. But you know, PTSD affects people like you and like me. What are the symptoms of PTSD? For me, the biggest one was having nightmares. The nightmares are terrible with PTSD. I would wake up in the middle of the night and look at my husband and nudge him because I was seeing rats run across the top of the curtains. He'd turn on the light. Nothing was there. Then I'd nudge him again because I saw spiders crawling up the sheets towards me. In addition to that, tsunamis were coming towards me, tornadoes rushing in. And I even dreamt I would go to the fridge, open the door, and I'd forgotten to buy milk for Katie. She was going to die. I kept dreaming that over and over again. I couldn't function during the day, and I still have those nightmares to this day. A friend of mine knew that I was not doing well. And she suggested that I come out to Calgary and visit with her and go and take pictures of the snowy owl that was north of Calgary. Now, I must admit, I thought twice about it because it was minus 24 degrees centigrade. January in Calgary, not exactly my favorite time of year. But I went. And she took me on a voyage to photograph the snowy owl. I was excited. I had my new cell phone, and guess what it had in it? A camera. It was amazing. I said, "Kim, you've got to look at this. This is incredible." She said, yeah, she brought her zoom lens and her big camera. I said, "But this one goes to something called Instagram, and I can post it right away. It's amazing." We went up the north, and we saw snow blowing over fences. We saw purple shadows of trees on the ice. It was incredible. And then we saw it, the snowy owl. It's a beautiful bird. That's Kim's picture. This is mine. Now, there may be a snowy owl on there, I'm not sure. It may have just flown by. But I was kind of pleased with that picture. I sent it to Instagram right away. What I found was that the longer time went on, the more creative I became. And I also wanted to take photographs all the time. I thought, hey, there's something going on there. I've got to get in touch with somebody, talk about PTSD. And so I'm not really very shy. I phoned right away down to Stanford University, the head research center for PTSD. And I said, you're not going to believe this. I found that photography is making me happier. And they said, yes, we know. I said, what? They said, we already do projects of photography with combat vets returning from war. I was surprised. They said, what we do is we get them to take a photograph of whatever reminds them of the event. Now, it can be fireworks, reminds them of gunfire. Then we get them to take 4 photographs of something that they like, something that they're going to be more creative with. It could be a park bench. After that, they can show the fireworks picture to their colleagues and say, this is what I went through. It makes it easier to communicate. And then they show the nice pictures. And this works. It's in Palo Alto, California right now. Then I heard that the British National Health Service is working with patients who are depressed and joining them up with hobbies such as gardening, growing flowers and seeing how beautiful the world is. Today, I have a different life. My husband of 18 years, who was never infected, and I parted ways. The marriage couldn't take that pressure. I went to a wedding, and I met another man. And he said, I'd like to get to know you. I said, oh no, it's me, it's not you. And he said, no, that's what all the women say. I said, no, in this case, it really is me. The next day, I got something on Facebook. And he said, I'd still like to get to know you. I thought, this guy's darn persistent. I said, well, there's something you've got to know. He said, I already know. I said, what do you know? He said, you've got HIV. I said, how do you know that? He said, I Googled you. What a man. The first date, we went to his garden. And I heard a buzz go past my ear. What do you think it was? It took me over 200 shots to get this picture. But isn't that a beautiful bird? The way I got this photograph, for any photographers out there, I concentrated not on where the hummingbird was, but where it could be. That's like life. What am I telling you? I'm telling you that we need to be more creative and stop getting stuck in depression. We have an Instagram account now called Hummingbird Day. Hummingbird Day is August 31st. It's easy to remember. August 31st was the date that Katie died, but it's also the date that Princess Diana died. What I'd like you to do is get creative on August 31st. Send in a picture to Instagram. My friend Vivian said to me, I just don't take photographs. I'm not going to do that. I said, Vivian, come on, it's for me. And she said, well, I guess I could take a picture of nose hair. I said, yes, let's go and take a picture of nose hair. Let's find grey ones, black ones. So that's what we're going to do. I hope that you will use your creativity to find how beautiful the world is again, just like a hummingbird. Thank you.